Maya skipped alongside her parents through the busy walkways of station. The 8-year-old girl stared up in wonder at the massive dome overhead that showed the swirling colors of the nearby nebula. Alien species moved around them in every direction. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others floated in special suits filled with gas. A few rolled on wheels built into their bodies. "Stay close, sweetheart," her mother, Dr. Lisa, said, reaching for Maya's hand. "This place gets crowded." Maya's father, Dr. James, was taking pictures of everything with his scanner. He studied alien life forms. This trip to the neutral trading station was his first chance to see so many different species in one place. His wife worked as a diplomat, trying to build peaceful relationships between humans and aliens. "Look at that one, Daddy." Maya pointed at a tall blue creature with 6 arms juggling glowing orbs for a small crowd. "That's a street performer," James explained. "They come from a world with low gravity, so they're very good at acrobatic shows." The family walked through the cultural district where different alien species showed off their art, music, and food. Maya loved seeing all the strange and beautiful things. She had never been afraid of aliens like some of the kids back on Earth. To her, they were just different kinds of people. A group of tall, silvery aliens with crystal-like growths on their heads walked past in perfect formation. They wore dark uniforms with many medals and badges. Their leader was a female with bright purple crystals that caught the light as she moved. She held her head high and looked down at everyone around her. "Who are they?" Maya whispered to her mother. "Officers," Lisa replied quietly. "They run a big empire in this part of the galaxy." The commander stopped suddenly when she saw a small alien child drop a toy. The little creature started crying. The commander kicked the toy away and said something harsh in her language that made the child cry harder. Other aliens nearby looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Maya felt angry seeing the bigger person be mean to someone smaller. Before her parents could stop her, she ran forward and picked up the toy. She handed it back to the crying child with a smile. "Don't be mean to little kids," Maya said, looking up at the tall commander. "That's not nice." The commander's purple crystals darkened. She looked down at Maya with disgust. "How dare you speak to me, primitive creature? I am commander of the Imperial fleet. You will show proper respect." Maya didn't understand why the alien was so angry. "I just helped a kid. You were being mean." "Maya," her parents called out, pushing through the crowd to reach her. Commander's crystals glowed brighter. "Your offspring needs to learn their place in the galactic order. Humans are a lesser species. You do not address your betters without permission." "She's just a child," James said, reaching Maya and putting his hands on her shoulders. "She meant no disrespect." "Ignorance is no excuse," snapped. "Discipline must be maintained." Before anyone could react, the commander raised her arm. The crystal growths on her hand had sharp edges. She brought her hand down hard across Maya's face. The crystal edges cut deep into the little girl's cheek. Maya cried out and fell backward, hitting her head on the metal floor. Blood ran down her face as she lay still, unconscious. "Maya," both parents screamed at the same time. Lisa dropped to her knees beside her daughter, pressing her hands against the bleeding cuts. James looked up at Commander with pure rage in his eyes. "You attacked a child," he said in a low, dangerous voice. "I corrected improper behavior," replied calmly. "Perhaps now your species will learn proper respect for their superiors." Station security guards arrived within minutes. They were a mix of different alien species who kept peace on the neutral station. The lead guard was a 4-armed who looked very uncomfortable with the situation. "What happened here?" the security chief asked. "This officer attacked my daughter," James said, still kneeling beside Maya as medical teams arrived. "She's 8 years old." "The human child was disrespectful," said. "I was within my rights to maintain proper order." The security chief looked between the unconscious bleeding child and the calm commander. "Commander, You are a diplomatic guest on this station. However, striking a child seems excessive. I have diplomatic immunity, said. The Galactic Council recognizes authority to discipline lesser species when they overstep their bounds. Maya was loaded onto a medical transport. Her parents went with her to the station hospital. The security guards could only watch as Commander walked away with her escort. They took down witness statements and filed reports, but everyone knew nothing would happen. Later that day, Maya woke up in the hospital with bandages covering half her face. The cuts would heal, but she would have scars for the rest of her life. Her parents sat beside her bed, trying not to cry. "Will the bad alien lady get in trouble?" Maya asked weakly. Her parents looked at each other. They both knew the answer, but neither wanted to say it out loud. "The station filed a complaint with the Galactic Council," Lisa said carefully. "They'll investigate what happened." What she didn't tell Maya was that the investigation would take years. The council moved slowly on purpose when dealing with complaints against powerful species like the. By the time they made any decision, everyone would have forgotten about one hurt human child. The station commander, a decent name, visited them that evening. "I'm very sorry," he told the family. "My hands are tied by diplomatic protocol. Commander claims immunity, and technically she's correct under current council law." James nodded grimly. He understood politics, but understanding didn't make it hurt any less. That night, while Maya slept peacefully under sedation, her father sent a detailed report to Earth. He included video footage from the station's security cameras that clearly showed the attack. He also attached witness statements and medical records. He had no idea that this simple report would change everything. Within hours, the footage was spreading across human space faster than any government could control it. Social networks, news feeds, and military channels all carried the same message. An alien had hurt a human child and gotten away with it. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. Captain Sarah sat in her quarters aboard the UES Retribution when the message arrived. She was a veteran of humanity's border conflicts, a woman who had seen war up close. Her ship was officially a merchant vessel, but anyone with military experience would recognize the hidden weapon ports and reinforced hull plating. The video file came through encrypted channels used by former military personnel. Sarah opened it and watched in silence as an officer struck a human child. She watched Maya fall to the ground, blood running down her small face. She watched the alien walk away without any consequences. Sarah played the video 3 more times, each time her jaw got. She opened her communication system and began making calls. "It's Sarah. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" Commander answered from his ship near the Vega system. "Just finished watching it. That's a human child, Sarah." 8 years old, Sarah said, "and they're calling it legal." "What's the status on justice through official channels?" Sarah pulled up the diplomatic reports. "Council says they'll investigate. Could take 3 to 5 years for a hearing. The commander claims diplomatic immunity." 3 to 5 years. Was quiet for a long moment. Meanwhile, she's still out there. The kid's name is Maya. Parents are Dr. Lisa and Dr. James. Good people by all accounts. The mother's a diplomat trying to build peaceful relations. And this is how the galaxy repays their efforts at friendship. Sarah looked at the freeze-frame image of Maya's unconscious face on her screen. Something cold and dangerous settled in her chest. How many ships can you gather in 48 hours? For something like this, maybe 20. Why? Because I'm thinking it's time. The galaxy learned something about human justice. Within 6 hours, the encrypted network was buzzing with activity. Former Earth Defense Force officers, colonial militia commanders, merchant marines who had served in the Outer Rim conflicts. All of them were watching the same video. All of them were remembering why they had sworn to protect humanity. The thing about humans that other species never understood was how they treated children. Most alien cultures only cared about their own offspring. Family bloodlines mattered. Tribal connections were everything. But humans had evolved something different during their long history of cooperation and survival. To humans, all children were everyone's children. Maya might not share blood with Captain or Commander or the hundreds of other humans gathering their ships, but she was human. She was 8 years old. Someone had hurt her and gotten away with it. That was unacceptable. Doctor joined the growing fleet from her research station near. She wasn't military, but her civilian survey ship carried sophisticated scanning equipment that could track vessels across multiple star systems. "I've been monitoring fleet movements," she reported during the encrypted conference call. "Commander is currently assigned to the heavy cruiser ZIS Dominance. They're conducting routine patrol missions in the Altair sector." "Patrol patterns?" Sarah asked. "Predictable. They follow the same routes every standard week. They believe in order and routine. It makes them feel superior to show how controlled their operations are." Lieutenant Commander James Harrison spoke up from his position near the asteroid belt. "My ship's not much to look at, but I've got mining charges that could punch through most hull plating. I've got a cargo hauler that can be rigged for ramming speed," added Captain Maria Santos from her position near Jupiter. One by one, they reported in. Merchant ships with hidden weapons, research vessels with military-grade sensors, mining ships with equipment that could be turned into siege weapons, even some luxury yachts whose owners had military backgrounds. None of them were official Earth Defense Force vessels. This wasn't a military operation that could be traced back to human government. This was something else entirely. "We're talking about committing acts of war here," Doctor pointed out. "The political consequences could be severe." "The political consequences of doing nothing are worse," Sarah replied. "How many other species are watching this? How many are deciding that humans are soft targets because we follow galactic law?" Commander pulled up tactical displays. "They have been pushing boundaries for years, testing human colonies on the rim, navigational errors that bring their warships into our territory, trade disputes that always seem to favor them. They think we're weak because we prefer talking to fighting," Harrison added. "This incident just proves to them that they can treat humans however they want." Sarah studied the gathered fleet statistics. 47 ships from across human space. Not all of them were combat capable, but everyone was crewed by people who had sworn to protect humanity. Former soldiers who had retired to peaceful jobs, scientists who had served in colonial defense forces, traders who had fought pirates in the outer systems. "Maya represents every human child who might face alien aggression," Sarah said. "Every parent who sends their kid to school wondering if they'll come home safe. Every family living on colony worlds where alien ships patrol nearby space." "The galaxy needs to understand something about humans," added. "We're not just another species trying to get along. We're predators who chose to be civilized, but civilization has limits." Doctor ran calculations on her computers. "The cruiser will be in an isolated system in 4 days, minimal patrol support. If we're going to do this, that's our best opportunity." "Are we really going to do this?" Captain Santos asked. "Attack a diplomatic vessel?" "They attacked a human child," Sarah said simply. "They claimed it was legal. They walked away laughing about it." The communication channel was quiet for several minutes. These were good people who had spent their lives protecting others. They understood the weight of what they were considering. "Maya will live with scars on her face for the rest of her life," Doctor said finally. "Every time she looks in a mirror, she'll remember that someone hurt her and faced no consequences. Every alien species will remember that humans can be attacked without retaliation," added. Sarah made her decision. "We're not attacking a diplomatic vessel. We're conducting a salvage operation. The ZIS Dominance is going to suffer a terrible accident. Engine failure, maybe. Life support problems. Very tragic. And Commander. Accidents happen during salvage operations. Sometimes people don't make it to the escape pods. One by one, the captains agreed to join the mission. They began moving their ships toward the intercept point, using civilian shipping lanes and regular trade routes to avoid suspicion. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humans. They might prefer peace, but they were very, very good at war. The ZIS Dominance moved through space with the arrogant confidence typical of warships. Commander stood on her bridge, reviewing patrol reports with satisfaction. The humans had filed their pathetic complaint with the Council, as expected. A few diplomatic protests had been lodged and promptly ignored. The matter was already fading from galactic attention. "Maintain standard patrol vector," she ordered her navigation officer. "The Altair sector requires our continued presence to maintain order." What Commander didn't know was that 47 human ships were converging on her position from 3 different directions. They had been tracking her vessel for 2 days, using civilian sensor networks and merchant ship reports to plot her exact location. Captain Sarah studied the tactical display aboard the Retribution. Target is maintaining predictable course. Confirm their escort strength. Doctor's research vessel hung back at maximum sensor range, its sophisticated equipment scanning the formation. "I'm reading the heavy cruiser plus 2 destroyer escorts. Total crew complement approximately 800 personnel across all 3 vessels." "Confirmed," reported Commander from his position on the opposite side of the system. "My people have eyes on the secondary destroyer. Standard configuration, nothing unexpected." The human fleet didn't look like much to casual observation. Cargo haulers, research ships, mining vessels, and converted civilian craft scattered across normal shipping lanes. To any official scanner, they appeared to be routine commercial traffic going about normal business. That was exactly what they wanted the aliens to think. "Mining charges are armed and ready," Lieutenant Commander Harrison reported from his asteroid mining ship. "These bobbies can crack open planetoids, should make short work of hull plating." "Ramming speed calculated and confirmed," added Captain Santos from her heavy cargo hauler. "One full acceleration impact will put a hole straight through their engine section." Sarah felt the familiar calm that always came before combat. She had led boarding actions against pirate vessels. She had commanded defensive operations during the border wars. But this was different. This wasn't about territory or trade disputes or political agreements. This was about justice. "Remember, this is a salvage operation," Sarah broadcast to the fleet. "The ZIS Dominance is going to suffer multiple system failures. Tragic accidents happen in deep space. We're just good Samaritan merchants responding to a distress call." "What about survivors?" Doctor asked. "Most of the crew will make it to escape pods, but unfortunately, some senior officers might not be so lucky. Accidents happen during crisis situations." The trap closed slowly over several hours. Human ships adjusted their courses gradually, making it look like natural traffic patterns. The sensors detected nothing unusual. Why would they? These were just harmless merchant vessels going about their peaceful business. Commander was reviewing disciplinary reports when her sensor officer called out. "Commander, I'm detecting increased civilian traffic in this sector. Multiple vessels on converging courses." Looked at the display without concern. Standard merchant activity. The humans are always scurrying about with their primitive cargo ships. "Should we hail them and demand course corrections?" "No need. Let the lesser species conduct their simple trade missions. They pose no threat to Imperial vessels." The sensor officer nodded and returned to his duties. Neither he nor his commander noticed that the merchant vessels were moving with military precision. The random civilian traffic was actually a carefully coordinated fleet positioning itself for attack. Sarah watched the countdown timer reach 0. All ships, this is retribution actual. Target is in position. Begin salvage operations. The assault began from multiple directions simultaneously. Harrison's mining ship opened fire first, launching high-explosive charges designed to crack asteroid cores. The mining charges struck the ZIS Dominance's shield generators in a coordinated barrage that overloaded the protective systems within seconds. "Shields down," reported from her scanning position. Santos's cargo hauler came in at ramming speed, her reinforced prow aimed directly at the cruiser's engine section. At the last moment, she released a spread of mining drones programmed to act as guided missiles. The explosions lit up space as the drones found their targets. The ZIS Dominance shuddered under the impacts, its hull plating cracking along stress lines. "Multiple hull breaches detected," reported. "Target is venting atmosphere from sections 4 through 7. The destroyer escorts tried to respond, but they were already under attack from different directions. Human ships that had looked like harmless research vessels suddenly revealed hidden weapon mounts. Civilian cargo containers opened to expose missile batteries and particle beam arrays. "Impossible," Commander screamed as her ship shook around her. "These are civilian vessels. They have no military capability." Her weapons officer was frantically trying to target the human ships. "Ma'am, they're using commercial mining equipment and cargo handling gear as weapons. Our tactical computers don't recognize the threat patterns." That was the problem with relying too heavily on computers and predictable tactics. They had prepared for military engagements with proper warships using standard weapons. They had never considered that humans might convert civilian equipment into improvised weapons systems. The human fleet swarmed around the damaged ships like wolves bringing down larger prey. No single human vessel was as powerful as a warship, but they didn't fight like individual ships. They fought like a pack, coordinating their attacks and covering each other's weaknesses. "Emergency power to weapons," ordered. "Target the largest human vessel." But every time her gunners locked onto one human ship, 3 others would attack from different angles. The humans used their superior numbers and maneuverability to stay inside the weapon's optimal firing arcs. "Hull breach on Deck 12, her damage control officer reported. "We're losing life support in the forward sections." "Launch all fighters, call for reinforcement." "No fighters are responding, Commander. The human mining charges destroyed our fighter bay in the first wave. And reinforcements are 6 hours away," her communications officer added. "Our distress call is being jammed by some kind of civilian broadcasting equipment." Sarah's voice came across all frequencies, calm and professional. "ZIS Dominance, this is Captain of the Merchant Vessel Retribution. We're responding to your distress call. Please prepare to abandon ship. We'll do our best to rescue your crew." "This is an act of war," screamed into her communicator. "You're attacking Imperial vessels." "Negative, ZIS Dominance. Our sensors show multiple system failures on your vessel. This appears to be an unfortunate accident. We're just trying to help with search and rescue operations." The cruiser was dead in space now, its engines destroyed and its weapons systems offline. The destroyer escorts had been similarly disabled, their crews abandoning ship in escape pods. "Begin boarding operations," Sarah ordered. "Priority target is Commander. She needs to be located for questioning about the accident." The human ships moved in close, using magnetic grapples and boarding tubes to attach to the disabled vessels. Assault teams in combat armor began cutting through airlocks and emergency hatches. Commander watched her bridge crew evacuate around her. She could hear the sound of human boots in the corridors, getting closer. Her perfect military career was ending in disaster, and she finally understood that she had made a terrible mistake. Humans were not the weak, primitive species she had believed them to be. They were predators who had been pretending to be harmless, and now she was their prey. The bridge doors exploded inward, and Captain Sarah stepped through the smoke, her combat armor from the boarding action. "Commander, I presume," Sarah said calmly, "you and I need to have a conversation about justice." The Galactic Council chambers hummed with the usual routine of interstellar diplomacy. Representatives from dozens of species discussed trade regulations, territorial disputes, and resource allocation agreements. The massive circular hall stretched upward into a dome that showed real-time images of member worlds rotating slowly in the artificial sky. Council Speaker Al, a tall alien with multiple eyes, called for order with his ceremonial staff. The delegate was presenting a proposal about shipping lane regulations when the main doors suddenly burst open. The sound echoed through the chamber like thunder. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned toward the entrance. Captain Sarah strode through the doorway with her combat boots clicking against the polished floor. She still wore her military armor, scorched and damaged from the boarding action. Behind her marched 100 human soldiers in full battle gear, their weapons clearly visible despite being in a supposedly neutral diplomatic space. "Security," Speaker Al called out. "This is a violation of Council protocol." The security guards rushed forward but stopped when they saw what the humans were carrying. Between two soldiers, suspended from a ceremonial pole, hung the severed head of Commander. Her purple crystals had gone dark, and her eyes stared sightlessly ahead. Several council members fled their seats immediately. The delegate fainted. A group of aquatic species retreated into their water-filled observation tanks. Sarah walked steadily toward the center of the chamber, her soldiers maintaining perfect formation around her. The head swayed slightly with each step, impossible to ignore. When she reached the central platform where the speaker's podium stood, she stopped. "Honored delegates," Sarah said in a voice that carried clearly through the silent chamber, "I bring you a gift." She took the pole from her soldiers and held it high above her head. Then, with deliberate ceremony, she slammed it down onto the platform. Commander's head landed with a wet sound that made several delegates vomit. "You said she had diplomatic immunity," Sarah announced to the stunned assembly. "We disagreed." Speaker Al's multiple eyes blinked in horror. This is barbaric. You cannot bring violence into these sacred halls of peace." "Sacred halls of peace," Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "Your sacred halls ignored the assault of an 8-year-old child. Your sacred peace protected the alien who hurt her." The human ambassador, Dr. Elizabeth Warren, stood slowly in her assigned seat. She looked as shocked as everyone else, but she was a professional diplomat who had to respond to the crisis. "Captain," Dr. Warren said carefully, "the Earth government did not authorize this action. This was not an official military operation." "You're correct, Ambassador," Sarah replied. "This was not official. This was personal. 47 human ships and their crews decided that justice delayed is justice." The delegation erupted in outraged screams. Their lead representative, Admiral, stood with his crystals glowing bright red with fury. "This is an act of war," Admiral screamed. "You have murdered a diplomatic officer. The Empire demands immediate satisfaction." "Satisfaction?" Sarah turned to face the delegation. "Like the satisfaction you gave to Maya when your officer struck her down. Like the satisfaction you offered her parents when you claimed immunity." "That was a legal action under council law. The primitive child showed disrespect to her betters." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Every human in the chamber, including Ambassador Warren, went very still. Sarah's voice became deadly quiet. "Did you just call a human child primitive?" Admiral realized his mistake too late. Several other delegates were now backing away from both the and human sections. Sarah turned back to address the full council. For 2 weeks, you've ignored our requests for justice. You told us to wait for the proper procedures. You said the law was the law and we had to respect diplomatic immunity. She gestured towards Head. We have a different law. It's older than your council, older than your civilization. It says that anyone who hurts our children answers to us. Dr. Warren stood and moved toward the center platform. As a diplomat, she had to try to control the situation. Captain, you need to withdraw your forces immediately. This incident can still be resolved through proper channels. Can it, Ambassador? Sarah pulled out a data pad and began reading. The Council's own records show that complaints against officers take an average of 4.7 years to process. 17 similar cases in the past decade resulted in no punishment whatsoever. She looked up at the assembled delegates. Maya would be 25 years old before she saw justice through your proper channels, assuming she saw it at all. The speaker tried to regain control of the session. This assembly cannot condone vigilante justice. There are procedures, laws, treaties. Your procedures failed, Sarah said simply. Your laws protected the aggressor and ignored the victim. Your treaties meant nothing when a human child lay bleeding. She activated her data pad and began broadcasting files to every delegation simultaneously. I'm sharing with you the complete tactical analysis of every major species in this council. Detailed military assessments, invasion plans, casualty projections. The chamber erupted in confused voices as delegates accessed the files on their personal devices. What they saw made them go silent one by one. The documents were incredibly thorough. Ship classifications, weapon capabilities, strategic weaknesses, supply lines, command structures. Every military secret, every defensive plan, every supposed ace in the hole that each species thought they had hidden from the humans. How do you have this information? The speaker demanded. We've been watching, Sarah replied. Learning, preparing. From the moment humans joined this council, we've been studying every one of you. Not because we wanted war, but because we wanted to be ready if war came to us. Admiral Orr was scanning through the files with growing horror. The human analysis of military capability was perfect down to individual ship specifications. They knew everything. This is impossible, he whispered. Our security protocols are designed to keep out other aliens, Sarah finished. They don't work very well against humans. We think differently than you do. Dr. Warren was also reading the files, her face growing pale. Sarah, this represents decades of intelligence gathering. This would require resources that dwarf official military budgets. Private citizens, ambassador, retired military personnel running civilian shipping companies, scientists conducting research near alien military installations, traders who ask the right questions. Humans are very good at working together when our children are threatened. The delegate spoke up nervously. Are you threatening us? I'm educating you, Sarah replied. For 50 years, humans have been the newcomers to galactic society, the primitive species trying to learn proper behavior, the weak link that needed protection from stronger neighbors. She gestured toward the tactical files. That was never true. We've been the apex predators in this galaxy from day one. We just chose to be civilized about it. The chamber was completely silent now, except for the humming of life support systems. Commander thought she could hurt a human child because humans were too weak to respond, Sarah continued. She was wrong about humans being weak. She was wrong about us being too civilized to seek justice. And she was very wrong about diplomatic immunity protecting her from the consequences. She picked up the pole with Head and turned to leave. Where are you going? Dr. Warren called out. Home, Sarah said. My job here is done. You might want to start working on new treaties. The old ones don't seem to be working anymore. As the human soldiers marched out of the chamber, Speaker Al called after them. This won't end here. There will be consequences. Sarah paused at the doorway and looked back. You're right. There will be consequences. Every species in this galaxy just learned that human children are under our protection. Every potential aggressor just received detailed proof that we can destroy them if they test us. And every parent on every human world just learned that justice will be done, even if they have to do it themselves. She smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Maya can sleep safely now. Can you say the same for your children? Maya stood in front of her bedroom mirror on Earth, gently touching the scars on her face. 3 weeks had passed since the incident on station. The cuts were healing well, but they would never completely disappear. The doctors said the marks would fade over time, but they would always be there. She didn't mind them as much as her parents thought she would. Every time she saw the scars, she remembered that people cared enough about her to do something about what happened. Important people she had never met had made sure the bad alien lady could never hurt anyone else. Maya, breakfast is ready, her mother called from downstairs. As Maya walked to the kitchen, she passed her father's study where he was having another video conference with government officials. Since returning to Earth, both her parents had been very busy. Lots of important people wanted to talk to them about what happened. The Empire is demanding reparations, she heard one official saying through the speaker. They claim we committed an act of war. And what did you tell them? Her father asked. That captain and her people acted as private citizens. The Earth government cannot be held responsible for individual actions. Maya understood more about politics now than most 8-year-old children. She knew that adults sometimes had to say things that weren't completely true to avoid bigger problems. The truth was that her parents were proud of Captain. Everyone on Earth was proud. The woman who had delivered justice for Maya was being treated like a hero in every human settlement across the galaxy. At breakfast, Maya watched the morning news with her parents. The lead story was about another emergency session of the Galactic Council. The debate continues over what many aliens are calling the human ultimatum, the news reporter explained. The tactical intelligence files released by human forces 3 weeks ago have caused massive security concerns among Council member species. The screen showed images of various alien fleets conducting emergency drills and changing their patrol patterns. Several species have quietly begun reviewing their policies regarding human civilians, particularly children. The Assembly passed new protective measures yesterday, while the collective has issued formal apologies for past diplomatic incidents. Maya's father turned off the screen when the report moved to other topics. "How are you feeling about all this, sweetheart?" he asked his daughter. "I feel safe," Maya said simply. "I know that if someone tries to hurt me again, people will help." Her mother smiled, but Maya could see worry in her eyes. "The galaxy is changing because of what happened to you, Maya. Some of those changes might be scary." Maya thought about this while she ate her cereal. She had received thousands of messages from human children all over the galaxy. Kids from colony worlds, space stations, and starships. All of them thanked her for being brave. Many of them said they felt safer now too. Across the galaxy, the political landscape was shifting in ways that nobody had expected. On the Admiral met with the Imperial Council to discuss their response to the human action. The tactical files had revealed how thoroughly humans had penetrated security. Every military base, every fleet position, every strategic resource had been mapped and analyzed. "They know everything," the Admiral reported to the assembled Crystal's rulers. "Ship numbers, weapon capabilities, supply lines, command protocols. They could cripple our entire fleet within days." "Then we must strike first," declared War Speaker On. "Destroy the human military before they can use this advantage." "With what?" Admiral displayed the human analysis of forces. According to their files, a full-scale war would result in the destruction of 60% of our fleet and the loss of our 3 major industrial worlds. Even if we won, The Empire would be too weak to maintain control over our territories. The discussion continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. The Empire, despite all their pride and military tradition, could not afford a war with humanity. In the neutral sectors, alien merchants were discovering new facts about their human trading partners. Ships that had seemed like harmless cargo haulers were revealed to have military-grade sensors and weapons systems. Research vessels carried enough firepower to destroy planetary defense stations. Even luxury yachts owned by wealthy human tourists had been designed with combat capabilities. The merchant Captain Al met with his human trading partner, Captain Jennifer, at a neutral station near the Vega system. They had done business together for 5 years, and Al had always considered to be a peaceful trader. "I read the intelligence files," Al said nervously. "Your ship, it's not just a cargo hauler, is it?" Captain smiled. "Jenny's dream has always been exactly what I said she was, a ship that carries cargo from one place to another." "But the weapons?" "Well, space can be dangerous. Pirates, hostile aliens, mechanical failures that might require controlled explosions to fix. A smart merchant prepares for problems." Al looked at his trading partner with new understanding. How many human merchants carry such preparations? "All of us," said simply. "Every human ship, station, and settlement has defensive capabilities. We learned a long time ago that peace is only possible when good people are prepared to fight for it." The political ramifications continued to spread. Species that had previously ignored human diplomatic protests were suddenly very interested in resolving outstanding issues. Trade disputes that had dragged on for years were settled within days. Border violations by alien military vessels stopped completely. The council itself was being forced to adapt to new realities. Speaker Al called for an emergency review of diplomatic immunity laws after several member species expressed concerns about similar incidents. The Human Accords, as the new legislation came to be called, established strict protections for civilians of all species. The law specifically prohibited any military or diplomatic personnel from using physical force against children under any circumstances. Dr. Elizabeth Warren, still serving as human ambassador despite the diplomatic crisis, helped draft the new treaties. She worked carefully to make sure the protections applied to all species equally, not just humans. "We're not asking for special treatment," she explained to the council. "We're asking that children everywhere be protected from adult aggression." Some species objected that the new laws interfered with their traditional disciplinary methods. These objections were quietly withdrawn when human merchant ships began avoiding their territories entirely. 6 months after the incident, Captain Sarah received an unexpected visitor at her home on Mars. Maya and her parents had come to meet the woman who had sought justice for them. "I wanted to thank you," Maya said, looking up at the tall captain. "You made sure the bad lady couldn't hurt anyone else." Sarah knelt down to Maya's eye level. "I want you to understand something important, Maya. What I did was necessary, but it wasn't easy. Taking someone's life, even someone who deserved it, is not something to celebrate." "But you did it anyway," Maya said, "because it was right." "Because sometimes good people have to do hard things to protect others," Sarah agreed. "But I hope your generation never has to make choices like that." Maya nodded seriously. "I want to be a diplomat like Mommy when I grow up. I want to help people solve problems without fighting." "That's a good dream," Sarah said. "And now you can pursue it in a galaxy that respects human children." As the family prepared to leave, Maya turned back to Captain. "Do you think other aliens will try to hurt human kids again?" Sarah looked at the scars on Maya's face, then at the determination in her young eyes. "No, sweetheart, I don't think they will." And she was right. In the years that followed, no alien ever again raised a hand against a human child. The scars on Maya's face became a symbol throughout the galaxy. not a symbol of victimization, but a reminder of the consequences of threatening humanity's young. Maya grew up to become exactly what she wanted to be, a diplomat who helped solve problems peacefully. But she never forgot the lesson she learned on station. Peace was only possible when good people were prepared to defend it. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity, not because they were weak and needed protection, but because they were strong and chose to be civilized. It was a lesson that would echo through interstellar relations for generations to come. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, other potential aggressors looked at human space and decided to find easier targets. The apex predators of Earth had revealed their true nature to the galaxy. Nobody wanted to test them again.